because Norway is really the natural habitat for electric vehicles, which is why we have invited Ståle from EBIL, the Norwegian Association NGO for electric vehicles, and Ståle will give you some more insights into the Norwegian market.
Thank you, Martin. Yes, the Norwegian EV Association, who are we? Actually, I've been working with the association for 4 years now. It's been a remarkable experience, as you will see from statistics later on. Today we are the world's largest EV owners organization, which means we're equal to, we are there for the consumers mostly, but we talk to the industry as well, and we also work politically to influence and keep our strong EV policy going. Started back in 1995 as an industry support organization for the Norwegian EV industry. Sadly, that is history by now. Think and Vadim, which you might know. And we have transformed into this consumers organization during the 2 decades we've been existing. A large part of our work is to influence our transport into becoming more and more sustainable, which means more and more electric. Which also means that we support battery electric vehicles and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. But we love the dark blue here, and we also love the light blue. And this is 110,000 Norwegian electric vehicles, battery electric vehicles with no emissions on Norwegian roads today, and steady growing. As you can see from the 7 years, it's been a quite steep growth. And we've been there all the way. Today we have a car market with a 35% chargeable market share. 18% of all cars, passenger cars sold this year are battery electric vehicles. 17% plug-in hybrids. And in just a few years we're going fully renewable, fully electric. By now, like I mentioned, 35% total of battery electric and plug-in hybrids, which means we're quite far ahead of the rest of Europe. And of course we would like the rest of Europe to follow, because we think our example is fully possible to emulate and copy and do again, because our example goes to show that electric is fully usable, fully viable in everyday use, even in Norway. 4 seasons, winter, spring, fall. Summer is very comfortable, but we manage all the year. Of course, it's very important that we have no purchase tax, no VAT when buying it. In Norway, cars are generally expensive. If you buy a fossil fuel car, the price tag will be double when you add taxes. So we have the polluter pays principle, which means if you don't pollute, you don't pay. And that's where the EV fits in. So our system is ideal for rewarding those choosing the environmental friendly option. And that's where the EVs came in very handy. And of course, the policy has been the most successful, I think, in Norwegian political history. Not only the purchase, also when you use it, free toll roads, almost free ferries, almost free parking, and you're allowed to use bus lanes around major cities. Major in Norway, not that big cities, but even so, you have 600,000 people in Oslo. You can use the bus lanes around the capital, but restricted to at least 2 people on board. This in order to keep the buses on their time schedule, so that everybody's happy, and of course the EV owners keep their incentive. Yeah, the goal by the Parliament is to practically ban sales of fossil fuel cars by 2025. This means only zero-emission cars should be sold in 8 years. That's quite ambitious, but we think it's possible. And of course, It might still be possible to buy a fossil fuel car, but that will be very, very, very expensive. So we think that the demand for such cars will decrease with ever increasing range, like the car you are about to drive, which I've been fortunate enough to drive myself, and confirming it's able to drive 400 kilometers on one charge, even now, even in this weather. So we think if Norway can manage to use electric cars every day and be as happy as we are, 90% of all Norwegian EV owners in our survey tells us they're either happy or very happy being EV owners. And one happy EV owner gives 3 new ones in Norway. That's been the history. But it's not perfect in Norway either. We still need to develop more quick charging, more fast charging altogether, to make people living in shared apartment buildings able to charge at home in their garages. That's a challenge. Most people in Norway who have their own home are able to charge there. And we also need, like I mentioned, infrastructure for quick charging along main roads. By this year, you're able to drive from the south, like here in Oslo, to Tromsø up north. You can drive a Nissan Leaf if you'd like to, or even better with this Opel Ampera-e. Much fewer charging stops, but you will find a quick charger every 50 kilometers along the main roads, all the way up to, it's called the Paris of the North, this town. So then we only miss our northernmost county called Finnmark, which is as big as Denmark. But there's so few people there, so that building chargers is a bit challenging. So the big picture is we have come a long way. We're nearing mass markets. People are buying EVs because they just want a car. Range is important. The second most sold passenger car in Norway at the moment is electric. The fifth most electric, the 12th, 17th. The second most is the BMW i3. And by the end of this year, I think the Opel also will show in the statistics. Our first intermediate goal is 400,000 EVs by 2020, which means almost fourfold what we have today. We think that's possible with new makes, new models coming into the market. And it's necessary to actually make the goal set by the Parliament possible. We think it's possible to go full electric by 2025. But that means we have to grow steady and quite fast.